We were planning my son's graduation party for months. We ordered food, set up tables, invited family we hadn't seen in years. The night before, our neighbor knocked on our door holding a clipboard. "Big event tomorrow?" he asked. I nodded, smiling. He flipped the clipboard around, revealing a noise ordinance violation he had already filed against us preemptively. "One peep over 50 decibels," he sneered, "and I'll shut you down." I thought he was bluffing until 3 squad cars pulled up just as my son was opening his gifts. We had to end the party in silence, tears streaming down our faces. Kent, Ohio isn't a big place. People know each other's dogs, kids, and who mows their lawn crooked. I thought I knew my neighbor down Underwood. For 10 years, we lived next to each other. I never liked him, but I respected the old man. Kept my head down. Shoveled his walk in winter. Offered extra mulch when I had it. But respect only works when it's mutual. That ended the night before my son's graduation party. It was about 8 p.m. Rachel was stringing up lights between the tents in our backyard. Aaron was inside, sorting through a pile of cards from family members who'd already mailed in congratulations. Knock, knock. I opened the door. There stood Don, clipboard clutched like it was a police badge. His thin lips curled into a fake smile. "Big event tomorrow?" he asked. "Yeah," I smiled. "Aaron's graduation. Small family thing." He didn't even blink. Flipped the clipboard around. "City of Kent preemptive complaint, noise ordinance violation filed. Signed. Dated. 1 peep over 50 decibels." He sneered, "And I'll shut you down." I stared at the paper. My hands went cold. "You filed this before anything even happened?" "I've lived next to enough hooligans to know where this is heading." "Hooligans?" "Don, it's my family. That's what they all say." He turned and walked off. Rachel came over, wiping dirt from her hands. "What was that about?" I showed her the clipboard. Her mouth fell open. "Is that even legal?" I didn't know. I just knew one thing: he wasn't bluffing. Saturday started perfect. The barbecue caterers came early. The tents looked amazing. My brother-in-law brought extra coolers of soda and beer. Aaron was glowing. His girlfriend brought balloons that said Class of 2025. By noon, the yard was full. Laughter, small talk, the smell of smoked ribs in the air. Music? Barely a whisper. I kept it at 45 decibels, confirmed by an app one downloaded that morning. I thought we were safe. By 2 p.m., Aaron was opening his gifts. Cards stuffed with cash. A new watch from his uncle. Then I heard it. Police sirens. 3 squad cars. They parked at the curb like they were about to break up a riot. An officer stepped out. "Sir, we've received a complaint. Noise over the legal limit." "No way," I said, showing him the app. "We've kept it under 50 all day." He didn't care. We also received a submitted audio recording from earlier today. Recording? We hadn't even turned the music on until noon. Didn't matter. The paperwork was signed. The judge had authorized it. They ordered us to kill the music. Then they asked us to disperse any guests not living at the property. Aaron stood there, holding a half-open box of dress shoes from his aunt. His eyes brimmed with tears. Rachel tried to argue, but it was useless. We shut the party down. In the corner of my eye, I spotted Don standing on his porch. Arms crossed. Smiling. That's when I decided he wasn't just a cranky neighbor. He was the enemy. That night, after cleaning up torn streamers and abandoned paper plates, I got to work. If Don wanted to play by the rules, I'd play harder. I spent hours combing through the county's public records system. His house. His permits. His history. And I found it. A conditional land use permit. Back in the early 2000s, Don ran a side business from his house. Insurance consulting. That permit required him to maintain compliance with city inspections every 5 years. He hadn't done a single inspection since 2010. I filed an anonymous inquiry with the zoning board. 3 weeks later, city inspectors arrived. Don refused them entry. Claimed the business was long shut down. But his tax filings told a different story. He was still writing off a portion of his home as a business expense. That's fraud. The city revoked his permit. Ordered him to repay 7 years of improper tax deductions. Total bill, $14,250. Rachel and I watched from our window as he slammed his front door so hard the glass rattled. Next, I took a walk around the block and snapped a photo of Don's backyard shed. Ugly. Peeling paint. Leaning slightly to one side. I dug deeper. No permit. Built illegally in 1998. I filed another anonymous complaint. He was given 2 options: 1. Pay thousands to get a retroactive permit and rebuild it to modern code. 2. Tear it down. He chose the latter. I watched him haul the whole thing apart with a crowbar in July heat. I offered him a cold bottle of water. He spat at my feet. Rachel, bless her, wasn't done. She started talking to other neighbors. Families Don had harassed for years. Late-night noise complaints. Petty code violations. Anonymous letters about unsightly trash cans. Or uncut grass. Pam, from 2 doors down, had saved every note he'd slipped into her mailbox. So had the Parkers and the Grangers. Rachel gathered them all. We filed a neighborhood harassment claim with the city. It went to mediation. Don was slapped with a no-contact order. He was banned from filing further complaints without third-party arbitration. The mediator warned him that future malicious reports could result in criminal harassment charges. That fall, Aaron graduated again, with his master's degree. We threw another party. Even bigger. Live music. Catered buffet. A bouncy house for the little kids. Decibel level? Well over 50. 3 squad cars passed by during the event. Not one stopped. Don sat alone on his porch. No clipboard. No smile. His savings drained by fines, legal fees, and back taxes. He'd sold his old Buick. I heard he was mowing lawns around town for extra cash. I almost felt bad. Almost. Because while he sat alone, my son danced with his girlfriend. My wife laughed with her sisters. My family finally celebrated without fear. For a few months, things were quiet. Too quiet. Rachel and I thought maybe Don had finally learned his lesson. We were wrong. That November, we got a letter in the mail. Not from Don, but from the Kent County Tax Assessor's office. Our property was under review. An anonymous complaint had been filed claiming that our new shed, which we built for Aaron's car projects, violated the property line by several feet. The complaint also said we had unpermitted electrical work in the backyard. It was Don. Of course it was Don. The man had been waiting. Biding his time. The inspector came out on a cold Thursday morning. I stood there, arms crossed, while he measured everything twice. Guess what? We were fully compliant. Not only that, the electrical work had been permitted and inspected months prior. When I asked the inspector if he knew who filed the complaint, he just shook his head. Can't say, sir. But off the record? Your neighbor's wasting city time. Still, even though we passed the inspection, the process triggered a temporary increase in our property taxes until everything got sorted. Rachel was furious. He's trying to bleed us dry, bit by bit. Aaron was angrier. Why don't we sue him for harassment already? I shook my head. Not yet. He wants us to blow up. He wants us to act first. We stay smart. But in my mind, I was already plotting the next move. Rachel wasn't the only one fed up. After Don's complaint spree, other neighbors started talking. Even ones who'd stayed quiet before. The Parkers. The Grangers. Pam. Even a young couple 2 doors down, Matt and Kelsey, who Don had accused of running an illegal daycare. because they sometimes watched their niece and nephew after school. We had numbers now. I called a neighborhood meeting. No official HOA, but enough to make noise with the city council. At that meeting, we all agreed on one thing. We wanted Don gone. We started a petition. Not to evict Don. We couldn't do that. But to request the city place him on a habitual nuisance watch list, a little-known option under Kent's public nuisance laws. If approved, any future complaints he filed would require independent verification before being taken seriously. We needed 25 signatures. We got 42. The petition went to the city council. Public records show Don showed up at that meeting to defend himself. By then, though, his reputation was shredded. Every family he'd harassed for the past decade had a voice now. The council voted unanimously to approve the petition. Don's days as the neighborhood bully were numbered. I thought that would be the end. But one night, just before Christmas, Pam knocked on our door. She looked pale. "I think Don's spying on you," she whispered. She handed me a small, black device. She'd found it hidden in the hedges between our yards. A motion-activated audio recorder. I called the police immediately. An officer came, took the device, and reviewed the recordings. Dozens of hours of conversations recorded in our backyard. Illegal. Felony level illegal. They got a warrant. When the police raided Don's house, they found 2 more devices, one pointed at the Parkers' yard, the other at Matt and Kelsey's. Don was arrested the next morning, charged with invasion of privacy and illegal wiretapping. His face, pale and sunken, was plastered all over the local news. Retired man accused of spying on neighbors. Rachel and I stood on our porch as they led him to the cruiser in handcuffs. Aaron came home from work just in time to see it. He put his arm around my shoulder. "You did it, Dad." I shook my head. "We did." But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Not until the court had its say. The arrest felt like the finish line. But if life's taught me anything, it's that bullies don't give up easily. Don posted bail 2 days later. His lawyer filed motions to dismiss the wiretapping charges, claiming the devices were for wildlife monitoring. The prosecutor wasn't buying it. But Don's attorney was slick. A real snake. Tried to paint Don as a confused elderly man who didn't know better. Meanwhile, the DA asked if we, the neighbors he recorded, would testify. I didn't hesitate. Neither did Rachel. Pam. The Parkers. Matt and Kelsey. We were done being silent. March came fast. By then, word had spread across Kent. Everyone knew about the spy of Westwood Lane. Don sat at the defendant's table looking frail, shoulders hunched, like he wanted sympathy. The prosecutor laid out the facts. 3 audio devices. Hours of private conversations recorded without consent. Clear intent, he wasn't monitoring wildlife, he was listening to us. Pam testified first. She told the court how Don had terrorized her family for years. How they had changed their entire backyard routine because they feared being watched. Rachel followed. She cried as she described how Don had ruined Aaron's graduation day, a day we could never get back. I spoke last. I told the jury everything. From the clipboard at my door to the fake complaints. The inspections. The humiliation. The shed. The arrest. Don didn't just cross a line, I said, voice steady. He built his whole life on making others miserable. And when we finally stood up to him, he escalated. I saw 2 jurors nodding. Don's lawyer tried to blame old age. Trespassing squirrels, he said. He wanted to track squirrels. The jury didn't buy it. Neither did the judge. The DA brought in a tech expert who showed that the devices weren't even set to pick up animal noises. They were programmed to record voices. After 4 days of testimony, the jury deliberated for just 3 hours. Guilty. On all counts. The judge sentenced Don to 18 months of house arrest, a $10,000 fine, mandatory psychological counseling, permanent no-contact orders with every family he harassed, and the kicker? A forced sale of his home to cover the fines and restitution. Don's house went up for public auction in July. Rachel and I didn't bid. But Matt and Kelsey's cousin, a real estate investor, did. Bought it cheap. Planned to renovate and rent it out to young families. By August, Don was gone. Moved into a small apartment across town. No more clipboard. No more threats. No more harassment. That fall, Aaron announced he'd landed a job in Cleveland, his dream position. We threw one last party before he moved. The music blasted past 70 decibels. No police. No complaints. Just laughter, ribs, and the sound of my son finally getting the celebration he deserved. Rachel raised a toast. To standing up. To family. And to never letting bullies win. Everyone cheered. Aaron leaned over and whispered, "Best revenge ever, Dad." I smiled. The best part? We didn't break a single law. And for the first time in years, our home finally felt like home again.